Vielen Dank, dass ich heute hier
Thanks a lot for allowing me to be here. I have a little thought experiment that I brought with me. If you look at the title, you already know that this is not those are not my words. Just imagine all the people living life in peace. Just imagine that. Half a century ago, John Lennon was dreaming of just that. Even though this may seem a little naive to some people, even though the Vietnam War had already cost millions of lives and the Iron Curtain was drawing ever closer, a nuclear arms race in a world that seemed to be sitting on a powder keg. And yet, of all things, John Lennon dared just this very thought experiment of a peaceful world. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Instead of resignation, new hope. Precisely because language creates reality, and from powerful vision, action can result if only some believe it. As a pastor, I too have to deal with powerful visions and images that I have to work with on a daily basis. And as you can imagine, they're usually from the Bible, and they motivate me to do my daily work, to be there for people, especially in times like these, in crises, in difficult times, but also in wonderful times. They are visions and images that people have developed over thousands of years and that have carried them or led them through the ups and downs of their lives. The Bible is full of them, full of these images. Mainly it tells of as a longing for the paradise, a very peaceful place. And in many images that reach all of your senses, it shows or it paints a place that that everybody knows, where milk and honey flow, swords become plowshares, and where wolves graze next to lamb, and what I personally enjoy most, justice and peace kiss each other. A place where there will be no more suffering and no more tears, where enemies will become friends, and where all genders get equal dignity and humanity, and where there will be no difference between slaves and free humans, Christians and those who think differently. A place where everyone really feels that they are wonderfully made, accepted within their diversity. A place that is a complete safe space, where people feel accepted, and a longing or a desire for this peaceful paradise. It's basically part of the whole book. It frames it from beginning to the end. But for this peace to become reality, it needs to happen step by step. And it's basically a manual for this peace that I take from the Bible.
An instruction to this, how peace might be realizable, and not for only those who have power and take the decisions, but for every one of us. And there's this one sentence I really like. Search freedom, seek freedom, and pursue it. And that has given people orientation for thousands of years. And I really like that it requires taking responsibility from me, because I like to do things and I don't like powerlessness. And you might have experienced this feeling, but in the times of crisis, and it is terrible. And as a hunter, like even staying behind this goal, even if it's difficult. Yes, it is difficult. And as a youth, I read the story, a small history of the world for young readers. It's a small, compact book by Ernst Gomrich for young people, and it's a book that is really difficult as well, because on every war, peacetime, there is a war that follows, and peacetime seemed like a placeholder for me, but for me, freedom is much more, just more than a pause, and it's a process of diminishing violence. It's hunting this peace. It means
It takes a lot of effort and persistence. And for me, as a theologist, this pursuit can be quiet and silent with a prayer, for example. It can change my perception, my perspective. It can make me strong for those tasks ahead. One of my most favorite theologists said that every prayer should contain an I. Because whenever I pray for something, when I beg for something, it needs to have an I in there to signal that I need to get into action. How is there supposed to be freedom if not you and I will start and know about it? Jesus has no one other than you, no hands other than yours, no feet other than yours. He only has your eyes through which his mercy can view the world. And despite all that, I still feel helpless every now and then. When I look at Ukraine, all of these crises in the world, how am I supposed to create peace within this world? My hands are tied, but there's a small image that helps me. The little mustard seed that is being planted and that grows into a large tree in which even the birds can build their nests. It's those moments within your daily life, those mustard seed moments where I can give peace. Now, this is an example from my daily life. It's going to get concretely. Back when I did my vicariate, that's the practical training as a pastor in a village, where it was very different for me, where people were all very blonde and had blue eyes, and they have differentiated very strongly between others and them. And it was 2016 when we have the so-called refugee crisis. And a Syrian family arrived in the village. And there was a family that was prepared to help them where they could feel at home and get peace. And those, the effort that they did for peace and for making them feel welcome, that led to a situation where two old geezers, basically, and if you come from the village, you know these types, they hadn't talked to each other in like 15 years. It happened that they both helped them out to install a lamp in their living room, and they came back into contact, and they spoke again after many years of silence, and they realized this was the beginning of a network within the city that helped out the refugees and gave them a hand when they arrived. And over the last few days, I heard from the social networks that the Syrian family got their notices of naturalization, and they told me, we've came to Germany and we found our peace, a peace that started like a small mustard seed and that now generated large blossoms, and that gave me hope. From this small story, I can take away that we can dream big, and we need to realize these dreams and put them into reality But we need to start small with little steps of peace. Those are our path out of helplessness, step by step into paradise. You may say I'm a dreamer, sings John Lennon, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will live as one. Words that I would like, that I would really take note of, have them close to my heart. And I wish you all that you don't desist from dreaming, that you do it again and again, and that your dreams still may become reality one day. So just imagine all humans would come together and live together in peace. Just imagine that. I wish you all the best, and I thank you very much for listening.